Hold on, people. It's a LEAP-powered aircraft. A leap into the unknown.
What on earth is a leap?
Something you sure haven't seen before. Everybody get ready. We're going in.
Can someone please tell me what just happened?
Aircraft turbines. The jet propulsion principle can be explained through a tin can with a firecracker. When the firecracker is ignited, the air inside the can is heated, and it expands uniformly and produces a force in all directions. The forces that act on the can's side walls cancel each other out, since the gases are free to escape from the open end. A force is produced that acts on the closed end of the can. This force is called thrust, and it is caused by the acceleration of air leaving the can. This thrust causes the can to swing violently. Notice that the reaction engine does not push against anything outside of the engine. Its reaction is within, which is the reason it can function beyond the limits of the Earth's atmosphere. Non-air-breathing rocket engines and air-breathing reaction engines. Non-air-breathing rocket engines carry their own fuel and oxidizer needed for combustion, which enable them to operate in the outer space where there is no air. Air-breathing reaction engines. What is a reaction engine? Reaction engine is a form of heat engine that produces thrust by heating a mass of air inside the engine and discharging it at a high velocity through a specially shaped nozzle. The amount of thrust is determined by the mass of the air and the amount it is accelerated. There are several types of air-breathing reaction engines, with the gas turbines being the most popular and useful. Engines with limited usefulness are pulse jets and ramjets.
Pulse jet engine is one of the most early air-breathing reaction engines. It is a type of engine in which the combustion occurs in pulses, and this is how it works.
The fuel is sprayed into the combustion chamber and ignited. The heated air expands and closes the one-way shutter valve at the front of the combustion chamber and exits through the open nozzle at the rear. As soon as the pressure inside the combustion chamber decreases, the shutters open and the air flows in, mixes with the fuel and is ignited. Thrust is produced in a series of pulses, and the sound produced by the pulse jet-powered missiles used during World War II caused them to be called buzz bombs.
Ramjet engines is the simplest type of air-breathing reaction engines. It depends upon the high velocity of air entering the front and the engine and forming a barrier. A ramjet, sometimes referred to as a flying stovepipe or an amphibious, is a form of air-breathing jet engine that uses the engine's forward motion to compress incoming air without an actual compressor. And this is how it works.
When the fuel is sprayed into the engine and ignited, the air expands and the barrier forces it to leave the engine at a high speed through the nozzle in the rear. The acceleration of the air produces forward thrust. One limitation of ramjet engine is that the engine must be slowed to a subsonic velocity in order to sustain combustion of a fuel-air mixture. The ramjet engine has overcome this limitation by its design, which allows the fuel to be ignited and burned in the supersonic air traveling through the engine.
Turbojet engines. The most important breakthrough in air-breathing reaction engines has been turbojet. Is an air-breathing reaction engine usually used in aircraft. It consists of gas turbine with a propelling nozzle, and this is how it works.
A turbojet engine takes air in through an air inlet, compresses it, and mixes it with a liquid fuel that is ignited and burned. The hot gases escape through a turbine that extracts part of energy and uses it to drive the compressor. The remaining energy forces the expanded air out through a specially shaped exhaust nozzle in the form of high-speed jet.
Gas turbine engines. What is a turbine? A turbine is a wheel with vanes radiating out from its circumference. Kinetic energy in the fluid is converted into a mechanical power by the impulse or reaction of the fluid with the vanes. The first practical use made was in 1918 at a turbo supercharger. In 1929, Frank Whittle, a British Air Force flying officer, filed a patent application for a turbojet engine. The engine used an actual turbine to drive a centrifugal compressor. At about the same time Whittle was developing his engine in England, Dr. Hans von Ohain was working independently in Germany on a similar principle. His first engine used a centrifugal compressor, but his later engines used axial flow compressors. Two basic problems faced by the two. First, no compressors that would supply tremendous amount of air needed, and second, no combustion chambers that would withstand the release of so much energy in such a short time and in such small space without being destroyed. Van Ohain's engine first flew in a Hinkel-He 178 on August 27, 1939. Whittle's engine first flew in a Gloster E No. 28 on May 15, 1941. The first jet flight in America was on October 2, 1942. Built-in limitations of reciprocating engines. Reciprocating actions of the piston sliding back and forth in the cylinders causes vibrations and significant internal stresses for which engine must be designed. As a result, they are heavy for the power they produce. Second, they have a large number of moving parts that require the engine to be overhauled when relatively few hours of operation have been accumulated. And lastly, only way to produce thrust is by driving a propeller. Gas turbines are extremely light. They have few moving parts, and they achieved exceptionally high TBO or time between overhauls. And they have high versatility to produce either thrust or torque to power aircraft.
An engine that uses a separate turbine to drive a propeller is called free turbine engine. A turboprop engine is a turbine engine that drives an aircraft propeller. In contrast to a turbojet, the engine's exhaust gases do not contain enough energy to create significant thrust, since almost all of the engine's power is used to drive the propeller. In its simplest form, of a turboprop consists of an intake, compressor, combustor, turbine, and a propelling nozzle. Air is drawn into the intake and compressed by the compressor. Fuel is then added to the compressed air into the combustor, where the fuel-air mixture then combusts. The hot combustion gases expand through the turbine. Some of the power generated by the turbine is used to drive the compressor. The rest is transmitted through the reduction gearing to the propeller. Further expansion of the gases occurs in the propelling nozzle, where the gases exhaust to atmospheric pressure. The propelling nozzles provides a relatively small proportion of the thrust generated by a turboprop. The turbojet is an air-breathing jet engine usually used in aircraft. It consists of a gas turbine with a propelling nozzle. The gas turbine has an air inlet, a compressor, a combustion chamber, and a turbine. The compressed air from the compressor is heated by the fuel in the combustion chamber, and then allowed to expand through the turbine. The turbine exhaust is then expanded in the propelling nozzle, where it is accelerated to the high speed to provide thrust. Turbojets have been replaced in slower aircraft by turboprops because they have better range-specific fuel consumption. At medium speeds, where the propeller is no longer efficient, turboprops have been replaced by turbofans. The turbofan is quieter and has better range-specific fuel consumption than the turbojet. Turbojets are still common in medium-range cruise missiles due to their high exhaust speed, small frontal area, and relative simplicity.
The first turboshaft engine was built by French engine firm Turbomeca. In 1948, they built the first French turboshaft engine. In 1939 to 1941, Soviet designer Arkhip Yulka elaborated the design for the world's first turbofan engine. So the first turbofan engine was apparently the Daimler-Benz 670.
Baby shark do 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 do, baby shark do 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 do, baby shark. Mommy shark do 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 do, mommy shark do 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 do, mommy shark do 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 do, mommy shark.
Daddy shark do 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 do, daddy shark do